Goswami Tulsidas Ji takes us into a place where the emotion of happiness can be felt, but the emotion of sadness can be felt. Have you ever felt happy and sad at the same time? Have you ever felt hungry but not hungry at the same time? Have you ever felt warm but not warm at the same time? Have you ever felt like you're overdressed but underdressed at the same time? Have you ever felt as though you're beautiful but you're ugly at the same time? Have you ever felt as though you're thin and fat at the same time? Goswami Tulsidas Ji takes us to a place where happiness and sadness can be felt at the same time. In Ayodhya, the beings who live there in Ayodhya, they are happy. What makes us happy? What makes us sad? Let me change that question. Who makes you happy? Who makes you sad? There isn't a single person in this world that could make you sad unless you allow them to. Agreed? There isn't a single person in this world that could make you unhappy unless you allow them to. And so Goswami Tulsidas Ji, he says Ayodhya is buzzing with activity, but while there is great happiness, there is great sorrow. Why? Listen, he continues to write. Sri Ram and the beings who live in Ayodhya, they are happy. And why they are happy? They are happy because Love and Kush, the sons of Sri Ram, they have entered into Ayodhya. But why are they sad? Why are they sad at the same time that they are happy? Because while Love and Kush, the sons of Ram, enters into Ayodhya, their mother Sita, she is nowhere to be seen. She is nowhere to be seen. Have you ever given an invitation to a family of 5 and one person shows up? How do you feel? And the most unfriendly person in the entire 5 shows up. How do you feel? Or the grumpiest person in the whole 5 shows up. How do you feel? So too, while they were happy to see these 2 boys, they were sad to see that Sita Devi, she did not accompany them. And they did not know Sita Devi had given up her appearance. She had given up her roop, she had given up her form, and she has made her way back to Swarga, the abode of the Devatas. And so seeing Love and Kush, Ayodhya buzzed with happiness. But there was that little sadness not seeing Sita Devi. Sri Ram, entering into the kingdom and entering into the palace, Sri Ram sits. And who is standing at the door? There is no being standing at the door but Lakshmana. Who is Lakshmana? When we listen to the description in the Ramayana that is given of Lakshmana, it befits many of us, including me. Lakshmana was a person who was filled with arrogance. When Shabari had prepared the fruits that will be given to Ram, Shabari who collected the fruits with all her love, Shabari who was old. Anybody here old beside me? Shabari who was old. Shabari wanted to give the best fruit to Ram. So you know what she did? She tasted the fruit. But Shabari had 1 teeth in front and 1 teeth on top and 1 teeth on the bottom. And when Shabari will bite the fruit, it was as though she was making a little drain in the fruit. When Shabari fed this fruit to Ram, Ram says, it is the best fruit he has ever eaten. And when Shabari gave the fruit to Lakshman, Lakshman looked at the fruit and Lakshman said, I have to be mad to eat this. Lakshmana, he waited until nobody was watching him. But at least he waited until he thought nobody was watching. And Lakshmana threw the fruit behind his back. In time to come, that very same fruit of Shabari will be the herb that will save the life of Lakshman. That very same fruit that he threw away is the very same Jivani that will bring back life to Lakshman. We think that the things that we have, they're not good. And we always want something better and better and better. And you throw away something that is worth so much to embrace something that is worth nothing. True or not? And so, as Lakshmana stands at the gate, then something suddenly happens. A being enters into the kingdom. A being enters into the palace. And who is he? Lakshmana. Lakshmana cannot identify who he is. Lakshmana seemed to not be able to identify who is this being. What does he look like? Goswami Tulsidas Ji describes him. This being appears to be like a Brahmana. He appears to be like a holy man. What makes us holy? What makes us holy? Hello? What makes you holy? Hello? Are you all here? What makes you holy? Is it the clothes that you wear make you holy? Is it the company that you keep make you holy? Is it going to the temple and to the church and to the mosque that makes you holy? What makes you holy? You know what makes you holy? The way you live your life. You know what makes you holy? The way you speak. You know much people wear nice clothes and their attitude bad. You know much people, they're beautiful on the outside and thank God we can't see their inside. And so, this being enters wearing the garb, the clothing of a holy man. And as he enters, he looks at Lakshmana and he says, I came here to meet with Sri Ram. Lakshmana summoned Sri Ram. And Sri Ram, seeing this being, immediately he identified who it was. And Sri Ram looked at Lakshmana and he gave an instruction. Oh Lakshmana, we're about to meet, we're about to talk, we're about to have dialogue with each other. But promise me, oh Lakshmana, you will not disturb us. Promise me that you will not disturb us and you will not allow anybody or anything to disturb us. And Lakshmana, Ram, if this is your request, then so be it. Have you ever left a request when you're about to sleep during the day and you say, do not wake me up? And as soon as you fall asleep, somebody come knocking on your door. When you open your door, it's the person you just said to, don't wake me up. Come to talk to you because they didn't think you were sleeping already. Have you ever experienced that? Lakshmana stands at the door, and Lakshmana, when he is given an instruction, he can follow an instruction. Are we good at following instructions? We know to give instructions. Can we follow instructions? The doctor say 1 tablet 3 times a day. So you take the 3 tablets in the morning. Just in case you forget to take it lunchtime and in the evening. Have you ever done that before? Guilty. I have done that before. Then the tablet mightn't help you to save your life. The tablet might just kill you before time. Lakshmana stood there, and as his being entered into the chamber of Ram, great discussions were taking place. Lakshmana could vaguely hear what they were talking about, but Lakshmana knew that they were talking. Have you ever heard a conversation coming from the next room? Or conversation coming from next door by the neighbor? Hello, we are all Trinidadians. We could hear round the corner. True or not? What I don't know about you, I know about me. God has blessed me with a Varadan, a gift of good hearing. And I could hear real good. Even in the car, when they decide to say something about me in whisper, I tell them, I say, stop that. Lakshmana could hear, but Lakshmana was not listening to the conversation. And so, as Sri Ram started having his dialogue, what will happen? Something happens. Listen, it tells us. At that time when Sri Ram was having his discussion, a being entered into the kingdom again. And who was he? His name was Durvasa Rishi. Durvasa Rishi was well known. And he was well known for one of the qualities that he possessed. The quality of becoming angry for nothing. You know anybody who is get vexed for nothing? Don't answer. There's some people you wonder if they were born vexed. There's some people you wonder if they were born to be a blessing or born to be a distress. Durvasa Rishi entered into the kingdom, and Durvasa Rishi was known for his nature of being angry all the time. And becoming angry for the most pettiest, insignificant thing. Husband, you have to learn that when your wife is quarreling, you just listen. Hear, listen, pretend you didn't hear maybe. But give her time to calm and cool herself. And after she tells you all that she has to tell you, look at her and say, that is petty, that is insignificant. Let us throw that behind our back and let us forge forward. My mother one day said to me, you say that about everything. And I said to her, well, you should try saying that sometimes. If we try that, then we don't have any problems. But if we keep on holding on to the problem problem becomes a mountain. The little nothing becomes a big something. Because we give it all our attention, we give it all our energy, we nurture it and we feed it. And it grows and it becomes something uncontrollable. Durvasa Rishi enters, and Lakshmana, seeing Durvasa, Lakshmana, he wants to run, but Durvasa has already seen him, so he can't hide. Have you ever tried to hide from somebody and then you stand up face to face with them? Have you ever tried to hide from somebody and then you bounce into them? We are all Trinidadians and we are all guilty of that. True or not? We always trying to hide something and we always trying to... There's some people, they get sick. They're in the hospital and they're in ICU and they're dying. And everybody hiding their ailment and hiding their sickness. Tonight I want to tell you, only foolish people hide sickness. Intelligent people know that if they tell others, somebody might know the remedy and somebody might know the cure and somebody might be able to help. Baba, ashamed. Sickness is not something to be ashamed of. It is also not something to be proud of, but it's not something to be ashamed of. It is not a secret. Because then by the time you die, there is some pathologist in the village who will diagnose you died with something that you really didn't die from. And the whole world will take that up and start running with it. Sickness was made for everybody. You all agree with that? And any one of us could get sick at any given point in time. It is not limited to anybody. While it is not a joke, it should not be a secret either. And so Durvasa Rishi, Lakshmana decided to run, Lakshmana decided to hide. But Lakshmana could not hide. He was already seen. And so Lakshmana stood there, and Durvasa Rishi, staring at Lakshmana, Durvasa begins to talk. Lakshmana is frightened. Lakshmana, who is full of ego, and Lakshmana becomes frightened. Have you ever been labeled the brave one? And a time comes where, whether how brave you are labeled, a time comes when you will become frightened. True or not? You want to see me frightened? Put me on the dentist chair. The chair begins to shake. One day, not long ago, I went to the dentist and Pandit Vinod went with me because I was going to do a procedure. And so we got very late because the patient before me, something happened that they did not plan. And so I'm sitting in the waiting room and the dentist said to me, he said, come, sit on the chair. I'll numb you up. So as soon as that patient is finished, then I'll put you on the chair and I'll fix you up. I go into the chair and I sit down. And Pandit Vinud, who is supposed to be outside, comes inside with me. He looks at the dentist. He says, you have a hammer and a pliers. Let me help you fix up this thing quick. And I'm already frightened. I'm already scared. And I look at the dentist. I say, please, don't listen to him. What scares you? What should you allow to scare you? Lakshmana begins to listen to the words of Durvasa. And Durvasa, these are his words, listen. मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम, मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम,
मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम, मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम,
मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम, मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम,
मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम, मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम.
Durvasa, he looks at Lakshmana. Durvasa says, I came here with the intention of meeting Shri Ram. Lakshmana, can you please call Ram for me? Or can you please tell me where Ram is? I want to talk with him. And Lakshmana looks at Durvasa, and Lakshmana, he begins to make all sorts of excuses to Durvasa Rishi. He says Ram is asleep. Durvasa says, I don't believe that. He says Ram is not here. Durvasa Rishi says, I don't believe that either. Then Ram is busy. And Durvasa Rishi says, Ram cannot be too busy for me. Tell him that I am here. I want to see him. There are some people, they feel as though the world owes them a favor. There are some people, they live their life thinking that the whole world owes them a favor. So anything they want, everybody must just jump to their call. There are some people who think that they're in charge all the time. And they think that they are in control all the time. Durvasa Rishi, he has the quality of thinking that he's in control. And Durvasa, he says, Lakshman, tell Ram that I am here and tell him I must see him at once, now. Have you ever gone to the doctor without an appointment? And there is a long line in front of you? And you go up to the receptionist and you say, I need to see the doctor. Go and tell him I am here. And tell him that I can't wait. He must see me now. Have you ever done that before? If you meet a nice receptionist, she'll really help you. But if you meet a bad receptionist, you wait 2 days and you never see the doctor. Durvasa Rishi says, tell Ram that I am here. Lakshmana, he has been given the instruction not to disturb the conversation of Ram. And Lakshmana, he is hesitant to go. So Lakshmana, he remains fixed. He doesn't move. Durvasa says, Lakshmana, if you do not go and tell Ram that I am calling him, then using my drishti, using my power, I will burn the entire Ayodhya to ashes, to nothingness. Lakshmana, he now has to make a choice. He has to choose if the entire Ayodhya should be destroyed, or if the conversation between Ram and whomsoever he is talking to will be disturbed. Who will Lakshmana choose? If you were Lakshmana, who will you choose? If you were Lakshmana, who will you choose? You know, it reminds me. One day, a lady called me and she said, Baba, I was married 4 times already with Sendur, but my 4 husbands died. I'm going to get married for the 5th time. Can I wear the sindoor? And in my mind I say, if he was smart, he wouldn't marry you because he dead too. But in my mind I thought that. And I said to her the most logical thing I could. I said to her that I cannot answer that question. You must go to your Pandit. He is your guide, and so you must go to him and you must ask him. Baba, well, I don't know how to ask him. You want his number? You could call him for me. I say, Mama, the less thing I could get involved in, the better it is for me. Please call him yourself. Lakshmana now has to choose. He has to choose whether the entire Ayodhya will be destroyed or whether the conversation between Ram and whomsoever he is talking to could be disturbed. And Lakshmana thinks and thinks and thinks. And Lakshmana, he decides. Who would you have chosen? What would you have chosen? Lakshmana, he says, Ayodhya should not be destroyed. The innocent beings of Ayodhya should not be destroyed. So Durvasa, wait here. I will go into the chamber of Ram and I will come right back. Lakshmana enters into the chamber of Ram. And when Lakshmana sees who Sri Ram is talking to, Lakshmana begins to cry. When Lakshmana sees who Sri Ram is talking to, Lakshmana begins to cry. And who is Sri Ram talking to? Sri Ram is talking to Yama, the god of death. Sri Ram is talking to Yamraj, Yama, the god of death. Have you ever given that even death has a god that governs it? Sri Ram having this conversation with Yama, Lakshmana seeing the god of death, Lakshmana starts to cry. Scripture has declared to us that we should live our lives and every day of our life we should sing. You know what we should sing? Every single day of our life we should sing this bhajan. Itena tu karena Swami jab prani tan se nikale Govinda naam lekar फिर प्राण तन से निकले इतना तू कर न स्वामी जब प्राण तन से निकले गोविंद नाम लेकर फिर प्राण तन से निकले We must remind ourselves that while there are many things uncertain, the only certain thing about life is that we will die. Have you given thought? The only certain thing about life is that we will die. We don't know when, we don't know how, but we know that we will die. That is why it is important for us to live each day as though it is all us. That is why it is important for us to make ourselves happy all the time. I say, and it sounds like a joke, you have a wardrobe full of clothes, but you're wearing the clothes that nobody had to watch you hard to see through it, the way it's old. You have a wardrobe full of towels, brand new towels, but you're wiping your skin with a towel with a big hole in it. We put away and we hoard and we save, and you're saving and you're saving and you're saving your whole life. Baba, when somebody comes, they go use it. So you're putting it away. I'm buying new clothes and putting it in the wardrobe for when I get sick. Why will you think that you will get sick? Why will you even entertain the thought of getting sick? Why will you even plan to get sick? Why should you even entertain that foolish thought? Tell yourself, I'm going to be walking, talking and healthy till death comes. I'm going to be energized and moving while I'm alive. And I'm going to die being able to help myself so that nobody will have to do anything for me. But you're living and you're more dead than the dead. You're living and you have 2 foot and you're more crippled than the crippled. You sit down and all you do is cry down yourself and cry down yourself. You ain't know how I sick now. Anybody call me and say, you ain't know how I sick, I say, well, go to the doctor. Sick people go to the doctor. Sick people go and they seek medical help. Baba, I try everything and it didn't work. What to do? If you try everything and it didn't work, then what could I tell you to do? Because you tried everything. What am I to tell you now? I need a jari. I say, you need a jari, bring a crook stick. Because some of us, we need to wake ourselves up and remind ourselves, I'm only as sick as I want to be. I'm only as tired as I want to be. And so, the bhajan says, we do not know where we will be when that time of death comes. In any holy place. But God, help me to remember you when death stands in front of me. Listen, it tells us. Shri Vrindavan ka kal ho, mein mukh mein tulsi dal ho. Shri Ganga ji ka tak ho, Jamuna ka tak karaj ho. Mere saagara nikal ho, jab praan tan se nikle. इतना तू करना स्वामी जब प्राण तन से निकले. Says you should live your lives in such a way that you chant God's name every day, all the time. Do not only think of God in your trouble, do not only think of God in your distress, but think of God all the time. Tonight I want to tell you that God never gives us more than we can. Tonight I want to tell you that in our most troubled time, if God can't come himself, he will send somebody. Tonight I want to tell you that it is important for God to put trouble in our pathway so that he will be able to shake us up and wake us up from the sleep that we are in. And so Durvasa Rishi, standing there patiently, Lakshmana goes and he begins to cry. And as Lakshmana enters into the room crying and sobbing as it were, Yama, the god of death, exited. And Shri Ram looked at Lakshmana and seeing the tears in the eyes of Lakshmana, knowing that these were genuine tears, Shri Ram, he too started to cry. You ever see somebody crying and you know that they're genuine? You ever see somebody crying and you know that they're fake? You ever go to a funeral and see somebody bawling and crying and holding on the dead man and then they stop to drink some water to cry again? You ever see that? They stop crying to tell somebody something and then they start to scream again. Have you ever seen that? Sometimes genuine looks fake and sometimes fake looks genuine. I said that last night. And sometimes you are unable to decipher or to decide real from fake. Shri Ram sees the genuine tears of Lakshmana and Shri Ram begins to cry too. Tonight I want to tell you that if we cry sincere tears, God will not cry with us, but God will help us to wipe and dry those tears. But you know what? Until those tears are not real tears that come from your heart, God will not come to your aid. There are many of us, we think of God as a big show. There are many of us, we think of religion as many things, but really what it was supposed to be. And so, Shri Ram cries, Lakshmana cries. And Lakshmana, seeing the god of death, Lakshmana, he bows to Ram. He says, "Oh Ram, Durvasa Rishi is waiting outside to meet you. And he has threatened to burn the entire Ayodhya to ashes, to nothingness." Ram, though he is crying, he smiles and he says, "Lakshman, send him in, send him in." And as Durvasa makes his way He looks at Ram, and as Durvasa sees Shri Ram, Durvasa begins to cry. Durvasa feels as though something is about to happen, but Durvasa, he cannot tell what it is. Have you ever felt as though something is going to happen? Have you ever felt as though something bad is about to happen? Durvasa Rishi sees the disposition of Ram, and Durvasa Rishi, he too starts to cry. Lakshmana leaves the kingdom, and Lakshmana goes into the river Sarju. Lakshmana stands in water that is navel height, and Lakshmana puts his hands together. Ram, 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 Lakshmana chants. And Lakshmana, his pran, his life leaves his body. Lakshmana slumps into the water and his body disappears. And Ram, hearing what has happened to Lakshmana, Ram, though he heard, he wants to see. Sometimes, actually, most of the times, you must not believe everything you hear. Most of the times, you must not believe everything you hear. Because some of the things you hear, they're just fake as the people who are telling you. Let me say that again. Sometimes the things that you hear, they're just as fake as the people who are telling you. Do you know people sit down and orchestrate all sorts of comments about people? And half of it, they're lies. And all in an effort to make somebody look bad. Tonight I want to tell you that if you have to make somebody look bad so that you will look good, it means that you have identified that you're not so good. So instead of trying to make somebody look bad, try to polish yourself so that you would begin to look good. Shri Ram hears and Shri Ram wants to see. So you know what he does? Shri Ram makes his way to the river Sarju. And making his way there, Shri Ram is about to enter into the river. All of the beings of Ayodhya, they have heard what has happened. No news travels like bad news. True or not? Something good happen, nobody know, you know. Something bad happen, the whole world know. True or not? Something good happen and nobody remembers that, you know. But something bad happen, that is remembered forever and ever and ever. 10 years ago, somebody cooked a meal for me with plenty salt. Until today, every time that person is giving me something to eat, I say to them, how much salt you put? And she said to me, she said, you could do 100 good things, you know. Everybody remember the one bad thing that you have done. Everybody thinks of that one bad thing. Tonight, the only time you could consider somebody to be bad is when you are perfect. Anybody here perfect? Anybody here perfect? Remind yourself every day, I'm on a pathway to perfection. But until I become perfect, I will fail many times. But my mindset must be that I'll be able to lift myself and to help myself to grow, to become better and better and better all the time. Durvasa Rishi accompanies Shri Ram to the river. And as Shri Ram stands at the river, all of the Vanas, all of the beings who live in Ayodhya, they come. And who comes? Lord Hanuman, he comes. Ram, what are you doing? Where are you going to? Shri Ram doesn't answer. And Lord Hanuman says, Ram, if you are going, I want to come. Have you ever heard somebody going someplace and you want to go to? Have you ever heard somebody going to some place and you get dressed before them? Because you're so excited. You don't want to miss the opportunity. Lord Hanuman says, Ram, wherever you are going, I'm coming. And Shri Ram, he looks at Lord Hanuman. And Shri Ram, what will he say? Listen, Goswami Tulsidas Ji writes. Shri Ram, he looks at Lord Hanuman. And Lord Hanuman says, Ram, wherever you are going, I want to go. And Hanumanji doesn't wait. He enters into the water. He enters into the river. And even ahead of Ram. Have you ever seen where the student thinks that they are greater than the teacher? Have you ever seen where the students think that they are more intelligent than the teacher? Last night we spoke about how children think parents they are foolish. And so because they have a degree, they think that they are mother and their father, they are fools. But mother and father have something that is better than a degree. It is called experience. And your experience could beat any degree any day. Do you know there are many people who have plenty certificates and they are brilliant academically, but they have no common sense? They have no common sense. They can't do a single thing. Everything is Google and ask. Thank God for Google. Thank God for ask. Because everything you have to go online to find out how to do it. How to tie a shoelace. How to get rid of moss. And the most pettiest thing, you're on Google looking, trying to find out how to do it. And you ask the old people. And the old people know from the top of their head the answer. Your stomach hurting you, so you go on Google. How do I get rid of stomach gas? Google tell you Pepto, and Google tell you Xanthan, and Google tell you all sorts of things. And your grandmother tell you, come boy, I have a little thing called Kalanima. You know what is Kalanima? She says, I have a little thing called Kalanima. Just suck a little piece of this. Ask the little child, what is Kalanimak? Will they be able to tell you? Kalanimak is rock salt. You know? And that has a unique way of getting rid of gas from your system. In 2019, it's called Gas X. And if somebody didn't ask Google good enough, they might open a gas tank and throw someone out in there. In their car. Lakshmana says, Ram, Lakshmana has died. Hanuman says, Ram, I am going to. And Shri Ram summons Hanuman. He says, come, Hanuman, my work is done, but your work is not. You must remain here on the earth and you must protect every being who even entertains the thought of me. Oh Hanuman, you're going absolutely nowhere. You ever get dressed to go someplace and when the car reaches for you, the car full and you get no place? How do you feel? How do you feel? And he said, but dress already, give me a squeeze now, sit down in the trunk. Well, I don't know about you, I can't fit in the trunk. Shri Ram says to Lord Hanuman, he says, Hanuman, your job is to protect. Your job is to serve. And your job is to make sure that every being who thinks of me, they will be protected. Ever wondered why when we do the puja, the Lord Hanuman's flag is always the tallest bamboo? Have you ever wondered? Because of all manifestations, Hanuman lives on the earth till today. Of all manifestations of the devatas, Lord Hanuman is still alive and he is here with us on the earth. Goswami Tulsidas Ji writes in the Ramayana, he says, wherever the name of Ram is sung, Lord Hanuman will come to that place. He will come and he will sit in that place and he will listen. He will partake, he will participate. And he is not interested in parsad and food. He is interested in katha and the name of Ram. Ram se bada Ram ka naam, Ram se bada Ram ka naam. Because he knows that the name of Ram is greater than the form of Ram. And Shri Ram, he makes his way into the river. Shri Ram is taking absolutely nobody with him. Shri Ram enters into the river. The Pushpak Viman, the celestial chariot descends. And Shri Ram, he loses the appearance of Ram. Char Bhuja, having the four arms, holding the Shank, the Chakra, the Gada, the Parma. Sri Ram takes his form as Bhagwan Vishnu. He enters onto the Pushpak Viman, and the celestial chariot begins to ascend into the heavens, as Sri Ram will no longer be seen. Tonight, the key to living a happy life is not living forever, or even entertaining the thought of planning to live forever. But the key to living a happy life is planning to leave behind something that will live on long after you die. Sri Ram, he ascends back into the heavens, leaving the earth.